Back yourself. Back you. Be your own number one fan and cheerleader. This is the message behind today's episode. Because if you didn't already know, yesterday was the publication day of my second book, Lessons from the Boot, Volume 1, based on this very podcast, sharing the lessons that I talked about in season 1, but just in a deeper sense with like takeaways, actionable tips. And I'm super proud of this book. It's available at most of the international bookshops around the world, Amazon, Feltrinelli, also at Barnes and Noble. So I'll put the link below in the show notes if you want to take a little look for yourself. But the reason that I say to you, you must always back yourself, is because this is my second book that I have self published. I have never submitted a manuscript to one of the big publishing houses, and that has always been my own choice because I know how notoriously difficult it is to have your work accepted by a publishing house and also how long the process can be. And so I would prefer to back myself, be my own cheerleader, and put my work out into the world and not be dependent on somebody else to tell me that it's good enough to be able to do so. And this is where I see so many people trip themselves up in life, here in Italy, back in the UK, worldwide. I feel like this is a universal problem. Because when I published my first book, Wake Up to Your Worth, which was during the pandemic, so it was like a bit of a strange period for all of us, I published that book. And I remember people saying to me that, now I had done that, it might be more difficult for me to have my book picked up by a publishing house. And they themselves were writers and they wanted to wait and keep submitting their manuscripts to see if somebody would accept it rather than going down the self-publishing route. I do think there is a bit of snobbery around self-publishing, which I've spoken about before. But essentially, I disagree with that because I have seen other authors get their work picked up by publishing houses much later on, and then they republish it through their publishing house. And so it's not the end of the world if you self-publish. It's actually the opportunity for your work to get out into the world and to be noticed more than to keep being rejected by publishing houses with thousands upon thousands of manuscripts. So it is this. I really believe that you have to back yourself in life. You have to back the decisions you make. When I decided to move to Italy, I backed myself. I didn't have all the answers. I didn't know how my life was really going to unfold, but I backed myself. I had enough trust in myself to know that I could make a go of it and it would be okay. And as you all know, like life here in Italy has tested me. It's been an up and down roller coaster, but ultimately I made it happen. And, that came about because I backed myself. I didn't wait for somebody to pat me on the back and give me permission to do it. I trusted myself to follow that process. It really is the same for any aspect of your life. We depend far too much on the opinions of other people, on the validation from other people. But the one thing that we always seem to forget is that other people's validation is based on their own personal beliefs, insecurities, troubles, whatever may be going on in their life. Maybe they don't feel like supporting your idea in that particular moment. Maybe they are really stressed out and they're not able to fully understand what it is that you're sharing with them. And they give you an opinion based on that state that they are in, rather than in a completely neutral, relaxed position. And the problem is, a lot of people who depend on the opinions of other people will maybe change idea, change direction, do something different, course correct, if they are not getting the responses from people that they had hoped, when, we really shouldn't do that. And I think sometimes we depend too much on other people because we want to feel like we're making the right decision. We don't trust in ourselves enough. I've seen this a lot, even here in Italy, people who will ask the opinions of myself and then about 5 or 6 other people and still be in a state of indecision. Like, at some point, you have to listen to yourself, you have to trust yourself, and you have to back yourself, and you have to go for it. Stop listening to the opinions of others. Stop waiting for somebody to say, it's okay, do it. Tell yourself it's okay and do it. I'm really in this kind of era of my life at the moment where, I respect the opinions of other people. I listen and I take the goodness that I can from it and the learnings from it. I always believe you can learn from every single situation. But I am no longer dependent on somebody telling me that's a great idea, you should do it. I tell myself that instead. And I honestly believe that is why I've been able to do all the things that I have done up to now in my life, because I have backed myself. And I just know from life experience how fickle other people can be, how their opinions can change from one day to the next. And I just know that, your decision and your life shouldn't be attached to somebody else's journey. It should be very much connected to yours alone. So, in this fairly short podcast episode, I wanted to really drive home that message. Back yourself in every single area of your life. Have enough trust and conviction within yourself to do the things that you want to do, to follow your dreams, to silence the naysayers and the people that are going to tell you how difficult it is. I am super proud that I've self-published my second book. I'm super proud that I have my book in places like Feltrinelli, which is one of Italy's biggest bookshops. I've made that happen myself. I didn't wait for somebody to open that door for me. And it's funny because when you are that bold in life, often the doors do start to open because people begin to notice you, but they don't notice you if you are passively sitting on the side of the road, waiting for somebody to tell you to stand up and move on with your life. That is the message for today. I will see you in the next episode.